Good morning, everyone. It was really wonderful listening to Benston and Sawad. I think it's probably the first time where I totally agree with two of my panelists. Usually, I have some sort of disagreements with people, but thank you so much for having me today. So I am a little different. So I have a kind of a presentation over here with me. So it's not something detailed, just some stuff to really get things across. So I'll just present it. I hope you can see my slide. I had a different sort of a presentation earlier, so I thought I'll just shift it a little. So just like how Sawad and Benston talked about, be that research or be that journalism, what you need to really look into when you're doing something in that particular field. I just want to tell you, is starting up the thing that you should probably be doing? Or is that something that's pretty easy for you to really hover around and do things with? So I'll just do one thing. So since it is an online medium, I have just posted a link on the chat in Zoom. If you can see that link, can you just take that link and there would be a question there in that link. Can you just answer that question there? The question would be like this: do you want to start up? Everybody wants to start up. That's nice. Okay, I'll just stop for the time being so that yeah, I'll just stop for the time being. So it was just to get an idea of if you really wanted to start up or not. So so it seems like a lot of people really want to start up, but it's a fact that most of us really don't know why we start up. So this is one thing that I really want to tell you. Since like already you've been given a description of what I have been through. So I'll just give you what I've done previously. So I was doing my engineering in NIT Calicut, and then I went on to work for 2 years in a company called Suntech, where I was basically a product engineer. Then I did my MBA from IIM Kozhikode, and then I thought, okay, I don't want to go for a job. Let's just start up. So I just started up. So when I look back, if you were to give me a decision to go back and change things in time, I would have never started up. I would have never done that. So I'll just tell you why that is and why it's so, and why you should also think about before starting up. So since most of you really want to start up, I'll just give you a basic idea of why it might probably not be a good idea to actually start up. The thing is, what we always see is most of us, we actually start up thinking that, okay, the only thing that I have to probably do is make a little bit of decisions, do this and that, and just get things done. Probably the first year might be rough, and then it's going to be all easy and smooth. But maybe not. Maybe decision making is an easy thing to do, but making the right decision is a different thing altogether. So I think that's what's more important. I'll just take you. You can go back to the previous link. Now there might be a different question there. Can you just answer that question? No, sorry. I'll just stop it for the time being. I'll just give you one single scenario before I do that, so that I just wanted to make this as interactive as possible. So don't mind me for that. So I'll just tell you, I'll just give you two scenarios, okay? So this is very simple. Don't worry about it. It's very simple. I'll just give you two scenarios that we encountered recently. So it was probably when I was launching a new product in the market. So it's very simple, okay? It's very simple. There are two scenarios. One is very simple. The next one is a little complicated. So I want you to tell me if decision making is easy. So this is the whole exercise. So this is just a small exercise for you to let you understand how difficult a real life decision making is. So I'll just give you the easy scenario first. So we were trying to enter a market, okay? Just don't go into all the dynamics. So we were just trying to enter a market, and the market was quite simple, okay? It was like a $150 million market. There were no competition. We were the only product, and there was like, for someone to enter the market was really tough, but we already have about 75% market fit for the product. So we were like, and we can also break even with just 15 customers. We get 15 first customers, we just break even. So we thought, okay, let's why not enter this market? But we had to probably invest around 50 to 75 lakhs to actually enter the market. So that is a decision that we had to take, and probably 2 to 3 months of time. So I just want you to go back to that link you have, and there would be a question right now over there. And I want you to just answer that question for me. It would say something like this: do you think we should launch our product in the market? So it is a very simple scenario, as you can see it. So if you can just go back to the same link that you have over there and just answer that question. So yes, I think most of you would definitely answer a yes, because that is the most obvious thing, right? So see, if you see it, it's like a huge market. We can enter the market in 2 months of time, and we can break even in 15 customers. So we thought, okay, let's do it. So isn't this amazing? So I think, okay, I'll just get back to you. I'm sorry, there has been a slight. Okay. One second, I think there is a small issue here. Yeah. See, since all of you have answered yes, what actually happened was it was a market basically for kindergarten, and we were trying to enter this market in late of 2019. I went there, we realized the market, we launched the product in 2020 of February. I went there in March, we were all set to go, and COVID came in. COVID came and struck us like anything. I got stuck there for 5 months in Dubai, where I couldn't come back. I had an expired visa. I was over there, stuck totally there. We had almost lost about 60 lakhs, and the entire market got shut down for over a year. So we don't expect that to revive in the next 1.5 years. So see, if you actually look at it, it's quite difficult to really ascertain what is going to happen when you are in a startup space. That is, you might think with all the information that you have that it's really easy to make a decision. But I can tell you one thing that is certain in a startup world, and that is uncertainty. Uncertainty is the only thing that I can tell you is for granted in a startup world, that anything can go wrong at any point in time. And if you're not really in for it, probably you shouldn't be doing what you think you should be doing. So I'll just give you a small journey of how my life actually went through. So these, like, you can take this graph as my motivation levels. So I passed out of NIT, so my motivation levels were just going up and up and up. So I had a job, I was an IIM, I was like, okay, like I'm achieving something in life, because NIT, IIT, or IIM is like the end to your life, right? So you achieved everything in life, there's nothing more you need. So it was just like going up and above. So there was a point when I actually decided, okay, I need to sign out of my placements. I don't need placements anymore, and I need to sign out of placements. So I don't know how many of you know, but in IIMs, right now, I think they have a fee of about 21 to 25 lakhs, depending on the IIM that you are in. But back then it was about 15 lakhs roughly for 2 years, of course. And when I was doing that, I had a full loan over there. It's easy to get a loan. So it's not like other colleges. You have the banks coming in and doing their presentations, and the people choose which banks can really provide loans in the college. So it's not like you go to the banks and provide your things and stuff like that. It works the other way around. Banks come to the campus and present, and it's a nice experience. Like, you get to choose which bank has to provide loan to you, and which banks can actually open their loan accounts in the college. So it's a nice experience altogether. But what happens after that is something that's very slimy and dicey, because you get 1 year of moratorium period. That is 1 year after you get your job, where you need not really pay, or where you have a time to really choose not to pay. And after that, the loan repayment kicks in. So by the time when I was signing out of placements, it was just the start of the second year of IIM. Okay, so where an idea struck me, and I thought, okay, I want to do this. So this idea was basically this: like, when we, or most of us, when we get into our career space, we usually don't know why we are doing certain things. right? In most of our cases, we really don't know why we are doing it. It's like if you ask me, Arjun, did you want to do engineering? I would say no. What do you want to do then? And I say I probably wanted to be a cartoonist because I'm good at cartoons. I would probably want to be that. So why did you do it? Maybe I didn't know what was the best career option at that point in time, or how to be a probably the best illustrator, or like have a progression in the cartoon world. So I really didn't have an idea about it. So that's probably why I did not choose it. So we wanted to really help people understand what they're good at. So this was the basic idea as to why we started this company. So Woody basically is a skill discovery platform which enables people to understand what skills they have. So we don't tell them what career options to choose. We instead tell them what skills they have, and we stop it there. You can choose what to do with your skills. So I think in most cases, what we don't know is what skills we have. So this is the basic issue that I was trying to solve. And during the start of the second year at IIM, I thought, okay, let's do it. Like, it's amazing. I talked to a friend who was also in IIM, but probably a little more younger than me because he did his bachelor's in eco. So it's like a 3-year course. He did not have work. So it was probably 3 to 4 years younger to me. But he was really excited by the idea. But later he thought he should have some experience before he joins me. So he thought he'll take a break right now and join me later. So then I was in search of a co-founder. I was like, now who would I start my company with? I went on, I found out people who worked with me in my previous company. They, like, all these people have about 10 to 15 years of experience. Okay. So these, like, I bought in one person. I told him the idea. He was very interested, but he couldn't really join me in the company. But he told me, okay, what I can do is I can support you. We can have an alias who joins at par with me, probably my wife or someone, and then we can take it forward. So this is how we started the company. And by the time we started the company, there were 2 other people who joined along with him who were his friends. Okay. So that was the start of the wrong set of events that was happening. I had already signed out of my placements. I had 15 lakhs of loan that was mounting every day with interest. And I thought, okay, my company was incorporated before I actually quit, before I actually signed out of IIM. That is, by January of 2016, I had a proper company, 2-3 engineers working. It was amazing. Everything was going well. And by 2016, April, I had passed out of IIM. Like, everything was fine. I had a degree. I didn't have a job. I just had a company. Everything was going fine. And in 2016 of November, I got kicked out of the own company that I started. And there was nothing. I had nothing in my life. I had 17 lakhs of loan at that point in time. I didn't have a job. And once you're actually out of IIM, it's really difficult to get a job once you're in the open market. It's not like getting placed within the college. So I really did not know what to do in life. It was actually, you can call it like a suicidal point, a point where you really think like how to really do things. And I think that is the point where you realize, okay, maybe I should not have done this. Maybe everybody who told me not to start up was right. Maybe it's not a thing for me. Maybe I should just stop. Maybe I should just take my life. Like, these were actually the thoughts, the real thoughts that were passing through my mind. But I think my parents were really strong, and they just stood by me and just told me, okay, see, it's just an idea. It's just a startup. You were just in the demo phase. You're just trying to build the prototype, and just the prototype was ready. Like, you did not really build the whole product. So it's okay, just leave it there, because then the idea was really nascent. It was not about skill discovery. It was about an analytical system. So probably the idea was not formulated or formed well then. So I had a space to really sit back and think as to what I've done. And in 6 to 7 days of time, like at most a week, I had another company in place, which is essentially Woody. So that was just a small phase where I think I hit the rock bottom in my life. I know there might be phases where things might be worse than this, but I think this is one point that could happen in everyone's life, which is a defining moment, which defines who you are and what you can take. So after that point, like, there has been lots of ups and downs, like, be that COVID or whatever that is, my motivation levels simply don't go down. It's like I've hit the rock bottom. I know what's the worst that can happen. So now I take things very lightly. And what you see right now is this. You see, okay, like, these are all the great things that's happened to me, to Woody over time. But if you see, you don't see the journey, you just see these. So this is one of the most important things that you should know, that as Sawad has rightly pointed, you only see the story that people want you to see, right? You never see the other side of the story. there is another side of the story. There is a journey to the story, which most people don't see in most cases. So I think that is more important. You should ask yourself why 90 to 95% of startups fail. Why do they fail? And of the 5% of startups that succeed, are the founders happy in the success? If you actually see Flipkart, when it got acquired by Walmart for about $16 billion, actually the founders were not happy. They got kicked out of the company, right? So both Sachin and Binny Bansal, they were asked to move out of the company, right? See, this is what happens. Like, even though you make money at a later point in time, it's not really about making money. It's about, it's a startup is like a baby that you grow. It's something like what you've conceived, a baby that you have, and you grow and you watch it over time. You don't want to leave it. Which is a parent who wants to just leave the baby away and like let it grow on its own, its wild? Nothing. No, you don't want your baby to be adopted. If you are alive and you can actually take care of the baby, you want to do that all the time. So you don't mostly see the journey. You only see the success, right? And if there is a failure story, unless until it's a huge failure, you never get to know about it. Just like Savas mentioned about the suicide of a businessman or something of that sort, where or maybe the Atlas case where somebody got jailed, or the Mehta case where there was a stock cash boom. Like that is the only time you get to know about these failures, or Vijay Mallya or Nirav Modi, where there's a scam. So that is the only time you know the failures. The smaller failures that happens every day within the people that we know is never known. So you should, when you really want to start up, go talk to a friend who has started up, and preferably someone who has failed, and then get to know their stories as to what they have gone through. I can tell you one thing for sure: it's a lonely journey. Okay, the last 4 or 5 years, I cannot even count the number of friends that I've lost, the number of events that I've missed, the number of trips that I've not taken, just because I couldn't afford to do it. Either it can be financial constraints, or it can be other constraints, like where I don't have time, or where I have an important meeting to attend, or where I have important things to complete, where I chose not to take it. So I think these are the things we usually don't see. So this is a recent quote by Elon Musk when he was asked a question like, what is that motivational or an inspiring word that you have for the entrepreneurs? So this is what his response was: if you need inspiring words, don't do it. That is, if you're expecting, if you're an entrepreneur and you're expecting external motivation to drive you ahead, then probably it's not your thing, because that is one thing that you don't get. Like intrinsic motivation, that is having passion, just like Benson was saying, like having passion is the most important thing that you need. Like having passion either towards what you're doing or the problem that you're solving. So if you're just in it for making money, probably it is not going to be a driving factor. But if you're trying to solve a problem, I think Elon Musk is a great example that I tell, where someone is very passionate about solving a problem. He wanted to solve the payments problem, he had PayPal. He wanted to solve transportation problem, he has the Boring Company. He wanted to solve the space constraints on Earth, or what Earth is going to be, he has a SpaceX mission. He wanted to solve the climate crisis, he has Tesla. So he's basically trying to solve problems, critical problems in the world, and make money out of it. So making money is not essentially what he's looking at. He's basically investing his idea and time in solving problems. So if you have the right problem and if you're really passionate about it, I think nothing can stop you. But if you don't have the right idea, or probably an idea that you are passionate about, I don't think you can ever be passionate about solving it. So in my case, I'm really passionate about solving the problem of skill discovery and skill crisis. So that is why I'm in for it. So even if I see Byju's or White Hat Junior doing like taking amazing amounts of money, being billion-dollar companies, I don't really appreciate it, because I think they're part of the problem. They're not really solving anything. They're creating new problems for the parents, teachers, and the student community at large. So I don't think there are companies out there who genuinely want to solve the problem. Right now, the startup space is fully crowded with people who are trying to make noise, who are trying to do the wrong things, and probably I'm not giving a blanket statement, but this is what is happening at large. So I have just two advices for you. Be ready to learn and unlearn. So that is the most important thing. So if you look at even today, what I do on a daily basis, say for example, I did my engineering. During my work, I never wrote a piece of code. I was a product engineer. I never wrote a piece of code in my entire 2 years of work life. And then I went into IIM where I was doing completely management. And then I started a company where I had coders to code. But there was a point where someone actually left and there was a client requirement. And I had to learn Java in 3 days time because there was no one to take it up. So see, you can't at that point say, no, I don't want to learn. I'm not a coder. I'm a management guy. I'm an IIM guy. I'm a cool guy. I can't do that. No, there is no way you can say that. You have to really, if you have to take a broomstick and kind of clean or wipe the floor, you have to do that. Like, there is no question of, when you're an entrepreneur, like, there's no do's and don'ts. Like, everything is a do for you. Like, if you have to do it, you have to do it. There's no question. There's no waiting. Like, you have to just go ahead and do it. So that's the one thing. And also unlearn a few things. Like, every day you might have to unlearn a few stuff that you've learned over time because it doesn't really fit into the current context. Say, for example, right now the entire office is working from home, but I always believed in having the office together so that there is a kind of a way in which people can have more synergy in what they do. But right now, what we figured out is, no, it doesn't really mean about synergy. It also means about work-life balance. It also means about having more time to do other things for the employees or the resources that we have. So we're like, okay, let them be there. All we have to do is build trust, because we have our source codes at the end of the employee laptop, so they can actually take it and go away. So that is the one concern that we have. But what we can do for that is build trust. Have people who are part of the company and who would like take the company as their own child. So that is one thing that I had to unlearn over time. A few things, just one example. And the last slide that I have is a few pointers for you to really decide if this is the thing that you want to do. The first thing is, if you have a problem statement, don't do a copycat thing until you think. Don't start another Flipkart unless and until you have found a flaw in that Flipkart and then you wanted to really solve it. So unless and until that is the case, just don't do it. Or else be passionate about what you're doing. And the next thing is, do I have the skills? Like, do you really have the skills to really take this problem statement forward? Like, you might not have the entire skills to solve every part of the problem, but you might have certain skills which can be used to really solve the problem. So you have to ask yourself, do I have the right amount of skills? Having an idea is only good if you can execute it the proper way. So if you can't execute it the proper way, and a good idea that you have is as bad as a bad idea, right? A bad idea in the hand of a good executioner is as good as a good idea in the hand of a bad executioner. And can I appreciate uncertainty? If you can't appreciate uncertainty, don't do it. Like, everything you think might not go the way you think you want it to go. So if you can't appreciate uncertainty, don't do it. If you have an answer yes for all of this, just like Nike says, just do it. So just don't think about too much, just do it. And then probably have a thought that you have to give up when you have to, but never stop trying. So when you feel that, okay, I have pushed myself to that limit and I can't take it anymore, just give up. So there might be people who say, like, winners don't winners don't quit and quitters don't a saying like that, right? Losers don't quit and winners don't quit and quitters don't win. Yeah, exactly that. So just don't go by that saying. If you have to quit, you have to quit. It's as simple as that. But never stop trying. Like, start new, start fresh, and just go with the flow and ensure that you are happy at the end of the day. So if you are not happy, whatever you do is really not going to make any difference to anyone's life. So you're just going to ruin your life as well as others' life. So just don't do it. So I think I'll just stop it there. If you have any questions, I'll probably take it at the end. Thank you so much.